On the first day of my journey, I followed the path taken by George Mancuso and Linda Bremer in August 2001 down the Hopi Salt Trail Canyon and to the unmarked location of the Emerald Pool. This is where the two hikers were hit by a massive and freak flash flood and the place where Linda's body was recovered. This next day, I followed the path of the flash flood, 7 miles down the Little Colorado Canyon to the place where the bright blue water mixes with the emerald green of the Colorado. I thought it was interesting when viewing this river on Google Earth to see the two faces of this river as captured by the satellite images over two separate times. This beautiful blue river transforms into a dark and dangerous torrent following rainfall. This is the color the river would have turned as it carried George to his favorite place in the world and where he cryptically once said was the only place where his soul can rest, at the confluence of the Grand Canyon and the Little Colorado Canyon. All right, today we go to the confluence. Oh, my fingers are cold. Thorn bushes on your legs. Pretty scratched. Yep, pure hatred. That is the plant equivalent of saying fuck, go away. That's what that It's like we're at the beach in the Caribbean, you know? It's exactly the same. You know, the water and everything is basically the same. The walls in this part of the canyon are just immense. Pretty sick. I have no idea what this thing is. Oh, I want to jump in so bad. I don't think it's deep enough though. What a place. I had no idea it was going to be this cool. I mean, I've never been anywhere like this. We are approaching the confluence. Yeah, baby. Sublime. That's the word I'm looking for. That is not your eyes playing tricks on you. That is the deep green water of the Colorado mixing with the bright blue water of the Little Colorado. And the line you see is where the two water sources mix. George Mancuso was a respected Grand Canyon photographer who literally dedicated his life to the art of photographing the world's greatest of the 7 natural wonders. And here, where I am standing, is the place where his body came to its final rest, at the confluence of the Colorado River and the Little Colorado River. They found his body buried in the sand with his feet sticking up into the air on the island that we are currently standing on. It's hard to imagine the passion someone must feel to dedicate 20 years of their life to photographing one area of the world. But it's apparent that George felt that, and his body ultimately came to rest here, probably where he would have preferred if he had to pick. It's an important lesson for everybody who comes down here. Flash floods are an imminent danger that happen all the time. Rest in peace, George and Linda, and I hope their souls rest easy. So, appreciate you coming along, and we got a lot more miles to go today. That is so crazy. Okay. I'm sheeting my beef jerky over here. And look what we found. So much rat poop. I'm not sure why this is here, but it looks to be pretty old. It's not Native American, but I think maybe it was miners. And that's where we just came from. That was my first time at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. And yeah, it's pretty big. It's pretty large. You ever tried Trader Joe's beef jerky? It's pretty good. This is the river under normal flow conditions. It would have been very different when George Mancuso's body was getting swept down this. There would have been 9,000 cubic feet per second more of water moving through this canyon. And instead of this beautiful blue color you see right now, the water would be a deep, thick, muddy brown and filled with tons of logs, rocks, debris. Anything you can imagine that water can carry in it, it will carry in a flash flood. I am here in the fall season when there's usually very little rainfall. I met a guide out in Utah once
who had been taking trips into canyons for almost 30 years. And he told me that there's exactly 20 seconds that you have from the time you first hear a flood approaching to when it hits you. I would like to imagine I would react fast enough to get myself out of the way, but knowing that George, who is extremely experienced in these canyons, wasn't able to escape means that no matter what, if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, you're gonna go. Let me know what you think. Is a flash flood one of the worst ways to go? Crazy to think about when you think about the state that George's body was found in. They say he was mostly intact, except that his mandible was missing. So unless I'm mistaken, that's his lower jaw. So that means that at some point in the tumble, George's jaw was ripped off of his head. It takes a lot of force to do that. I can only hope that that happened after he had already passed away. It's especially hard to imagine what it must have been like for Linda during her last moments. She had limited canyoneering experience. The only reason she was down in the bottom of this huge canyon was because George put out an advertisement in a local newspaper. It just happened that the one time she was down there with George was the worst time. I just hope that it went quick for them. All right, we made it. We've been hiking in the dark for about 30 minutes now. My GPS app says that we did 14 miles today. Phew. All right, bags packed. We are headed up to the top. Phew. These Vivo barefoot shoes, beautiful things. And the only thing I wear when I'm going on steep terrain. It's gorgeous. Everything is spiky and trying to kill you. Like, for example, this is a good place to put your hand for a grip, but that's jagged rock. Like, you don't even want to put your weight on it because it'll just tear your fingers open. Spiky boys. And a giant pothole. So there's this term in canyoneering called a keeper pothole. So that's a pothole where if you fell in, you couldn't get out. Pretty sure that's a keeper, because if you fell into that, the walls are just smooth. You'd be like a rat trapped in a bucket, just scratching at the sides till you drown. We're approaching the final leg of the journey up to the rim. Yeah, this hill's brutal. Super steep. We got some tunes bumping to keep me going. Oh. Well, hope you enjoyed watching this video. like and subscribe to the POV channel.